the next example is, suppose that businesses are feeling optimistic about the economy and they increase investment spending. Which part of aggregate demand is this? Of course, it's investment, I. We have an increase in investment spending due to confidence in the economy. That's going to lead to an increase in aggregate demand. The first step here is to shift out aggregate demand. And now we want to say what's going to happen as a result of this aggregate demand shock in the short run, and then how do we return to a long run equilibrium. So in the short run, this is our initial equilibrium point, A. In the short run, we're going to see an increase in output. I should do this. Just label here what's happening, short run, long run changes. Okay, I'm gonna have an increase in output in the short run. Businesses, all of a sudden, they're excited. They're trying to grow and invest in expanding. That's not necessarily a bad thing if it's based on our fundamentals in our production function. But in this case, it's not. It's just simply based on a feeling that they have. And so as businesses start to try to expand, what's going to happen is they're going to realize that there aren't more inputs, there's not more labor, there's not more capital, and now all the businesses across all sectors in our economy are trying to expand. That's going to drive up input prices. This is going to drive up prices for inputs and really all goods across the economy. Now that increased price level shouldn't really affect overall production, but in this case, it might. As we see this increase in aggregate demand, this is going to lead to here this short run expansion. So in the short run, we move from point A to point B, where we have a new higher price level and higher level of output. We have an expansion of the economy. And on this graph, we have what's happening to GDP, that's output. What's happening to inflation, that's the price level. We also have, right, some sense of what should be happening to unemployment, because we know that unemployment and GDP have this inverse relationship, a strong inverse relationship. So here, as output is increasing, unemployment should be decreasing. Well, this growth level here is more than what we can sustain in the long run. We just simply don't have more workers or more natural resources or better technology. None of that has changed. And so we cannot remain at this higher level of output in the long run. As businesses begin to realize that they're not going to be able to get the workers, or the price of labor is going up, then short run aggregate supply is going to shift inward as we adjust to that new higher price level. Got an increase in input costs, and then all prices will adjust upward. We show that on the graph. Short run aggregate supply is decreasing. We require a higher price to produce the same quantity of products. And then that's going to move us back here to this long run equilibrium point C, where, again, all three lines are intersecting, and that means that our price level is increasing again, but our output returns to this same long run potential level. All right. This is an example of an expansion driven by an aggregate demand shock. And we typically think that most business cycles are driven by shifts in aggregate demand, although there can be other things that are going on as well. In this example, we have inflation. We have price inflation here due to expansion. We talked a little bit about the relationship between GDP and price level or inflation. And I told you before that prices tend to increase during economic expansions. This is an explanation as to why. This is called demand pull inflation. But we do have a different type of inflation that can occur in times of recession, and we'll see that in the next example when we talk about shocks to short-run aggregate supply.